what it'll be like to be on the capsule, and like about the vomit, and and they have a whole guidelines for how to behave, how to not like bonk into people while you're enjoying the weightlessness of space. So it's pretty funny to sort of think about those kinds of things, right?
Yeah,
Good
it's
good
super
behavior.
cool.
Yeah, you and but they don't think that the vomit's going to be a big problem because, well, because it's once, it's so you'll only be up, and it's too brief with the Blue Origins, with the New Shepard. You'll go up
Okay.
once and then you come back down, and it's not like when you go to the amusement park and it's again and again, like the Vomit Comet.
Yeah.
It's the not that.
It's 15.
Yeah, and so by the end, that's when you're getting the
It's the
vomit.
I'm done now. I'm just done now.
Yeah, the way I feel when I take my kids to the amusement park, and I'm like, woohoo on the first one, and then yay, and then by the oh, I should remove that. All right.
What always gets me is the idea of rental spacesuits.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of disturbs me because there's so much potential for peeing, pooping, and puking inside of them, and there's just some things that I don't want other people's. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. Hey, we're live, by the way.
Okay.
Hello to everybody. I'm going to say hi to you now. Hello to.
Oh, can I have a pop out chat?
Yeah. Yes. I will give it
Thank
to you
you.
over there. Okay. That chat has popped out for you.
Thanks.
Someone in hexadecimal. I'm not gonna. Well, let me just convert this from hexadecimal to. Hold on a second here.
Hello, everyone. No, don't puke in your helmet.
Oh, hexadecimal converter to decimal. Do I want to go decimal? Do I want to go words?
Go words.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So it's going to be hexadecimal to text to ask. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what the person's trying to say. I can't. It's not even a word. Never mind.
Okay.
Adam Synergy, Arnold Post, Astronomy Cast. Wait, that's us. Bill Hunsicker, Bill K, Blair Pigeon, Brian Stab, Colin Jones, Daniel McCool, David Joseph Wesley, Eric Knapp, Fleming Thunberg, Giselle Sabrin, Glenn Heck, Gordon Dewis, Guido Bibra, High Champ 1, Hugo Burnham, Jade Star, Jesus Isia, Jim Meeker, John Suffield, Kira Heiler, Quode Libet, Malcolm Bond, Michael Meyer, Mike Dennison, Nancy Graziano, Noel Ruppenthal, Paul Disney, Paul Duffield, Peter Quinn, Renan Brazil, Ricardo Jose Jacob, Sean Smith, Sylvan Westby, Stefano Cia, Steve Heistand, Tech Tang, Tori Godwa, and Zap Van Zap. And hey, everybody, welcome to Astronomy Cast.
Hello, everyone.
You know what's funny is we do the Weekly Space Hangout, and actually there's not a lot of the names are the same. So yeah, so there's, I
okay.
mean, there's some people to stick around and watch both episodes, and maybe they've already said hello to me over on the Space Hangout, and they don't want to have me say their name twice. Although obviously, but yeah, it's funny. It's interesting. Two different crew watch the different things. So, Nan, how you doing? What's happening?
I it is now summer for today. Yesterday it was deep cold, at least it was in the 50s. So it's spring in the Midwest. We kind of have multiple weather pattern disorder going on.
Check this out. Oh yeah. Okay. Look. We got sun, 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 little bit of cloud, rain maybe, then sun, sun, sun. Yeah, Carla's pleased. I'll just say that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So the weather is coming back around. Finally, summer is here, and it is. Yeah, it's been so nice and warm. It's been really good. You've never seen your name so misspelled, Stefano? Didn't you spell it? And it could be Scylla. Cilla, but I was sort of pronouncing it sort of the Spanish way with the two L's, Cia. But you spelled it in your profile, so how could you have misspelled? Anyway,
But he said heard his name. So I think he meant heard his name, so
so
mispronounced.
mispronounced. Yeah, okay.
Stefano Silla, that's what I would have gone
Scylla,
with.
yeah.
But llama, it's so Sala, the
Well, it's either
double
Scylla,
L.
right? But if it was like if it was a Spanish pronunciation, it would be the two L's would be yeah, Siga,
He
right?
speaks French and I speak really bad Russian. So
Yeah,
we're
I can
hopeless.
pronounce your French names. Um, oh, there you go. Yeah, Jesus Isia. I got the Jesus part.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's do this thing. So if you're wondering what on earth it is you have stumbled into, you are about to watch a live episode of Astronomy Cast. We're going to be talking about space tourism. Specifically, we're going to be talking about buying tickets on suborbital flights and when that's going to happen and how much to pay and when should you get a refund and so on. So
And who to go talk to get those elusive tickets.
yes, a lot of them are sold out. And then we'll stick around and we'll answer your questions about space and astronomy until the half hour wraps up. And then you will
Yeah.
go on and do some science, and I will go do whatever it is I do. I write, maybe? I'm not sure what I do. All right. Let us begin.
Okay.
I'm ready to
trying
press
figure out-
record.
I put Audacity somewhere. Too many monitors problems. I buried it. There it is. I found it. Okay.
Too many
It was
monitors.
buried. By which I mean I have two.
Yeah,
So.
that's adorable.
I know. How many do you have
I
there?
have 4.
Yeah.
But it,
See, you don't end up with windows on top of each other then.
no, I put everything in its place and a place for everything.
Okay.
Um,
I accidentally pressed record. Stop.
Whoa.
Stopped.
Whoa. Not
Didn't
ready
mean
for that.
to. I stopped. I undid it. Okay. I'm ready to press record. Are you ready to
I am
press
ready.
record? I'm pressing record.
I have also pressed record. The recording has been pressed. Here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 451. When can I buy a ticket to space? Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. My name is Fraser Kane. I'm the publisher of Universe Today. With me is Dr. Pamela Gay, the Director of Technology and Citizen Science at the Astronomical Society of the Pacific and the Director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Fraser. How are you doing?
Great. Summer. Yay.
Yay!
It's warm and sunny, and man, that winter was so awful. But it's almost out of my head now, so we're good.
It happens, and now we are both dealing with the penalty of spring, which is loud birds. So-
Yeah. I've got this poor sparrow who set up shop in one of our birdhouses and is looking for a girlfriend, and so all day long he just goes chirp 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 chirp. And we think that yesterday he was making like a different sound, and we think yesterday he'd found there was like 2 ladybirds who were on the fence beside him, and he was jumping around and doing this little dance in front of them. It was really adorable. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So that is the sound. Yeah, there was birds everywhere.
So this episode of Astronomy Cast may be brought to you by loud sparrows.
Loud spirits, exactly. Yeah, if you listen carefully, you can hear the sparrows by Pamela's house. All right, let's get on with the show. Like most of us, you probably want to know what it would be like to travel to space. Well, maybe not to live, but just to visit. You want to be a space tourist. Good news! There are a bunch of companies working hard to give you the opportunity to fly to space. How long until you can buy a ticket?
Well,
So let's just get this out of the way. Would you go to space?
I eventually, but it's the kind of thing I think I'd want to do when I'm like well retired. And if things go wrong, I'm cool with that because I'm not like leaving behind a company that needs me to provide funding.
Right, because it's dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. Like a lot of people are like, yeah, I totally want to go to space. I want to, I want to travel in space. But all the astronauts I've talked to, they're deeply aware of the possibility that they're gonna die. That their good friends have
Yeah.
died, and when you fly to space, it is a very risky endeavor. A large, two of the space shuttles were destroyed as part of the missions. There was the Apollo 1 fire. There have been deaths in the Soviet system, and then just recently, and it sort of leads into what we're talking about today. The Spaceship Two had a crash with a death. So it's a dangerous place to go, and yet to see the Earth from space, to be able to get up to that inky blackness, and to be able to appreciate that overview effect, that'd be pretty
And to
amazing.
be an old person with less gravity.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm very practical about this.
Right, right. And but not so much less gravity that your bones melt, and you want to have that sort of perfect point. Um, so then let's talk about sort of the current state of how and where you can buy a trip to space.
So there's a lot of companies that you hear about the potential, but the only place that is like actively right on their site, go do this, is Virgin Galactic. The one that's right behind it is Space Adventures, which is, I kind of think of them as a travel agent to space. They're the ones behind the zero gravity flights, and their website actually advertises like cislunar orbits and all of these other crazy radical things like spacewalks that I don't think anyone is authorizing normal people who aren't astronauts to do yet, but you can call them for pricing.
And so, how much does it cost?
I didn't call them for pricing.
What? Uh, well, so I mean, there have been a couple of space tourists that have actually gone up to the International Space Station. Dennis Tito. Oh man.
And sorry.
Yep. And I think they've spent $20 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was actually Space Adventures
Yeah,
that
they're the ones that booked the trip.
facilitated
Yeah.
all of those
Yeah.
trips, which are currently on Russian rockets.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that they're trying to prevent tourists from going to the International Space Station right now.
Right. Although, the Russians, they'll take your money.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true.
So right now, if you want to fly to space, I guess there's two kinds of space trips that you can take, right? There is suborbital and orbital. And so who is offering the trips to space right now?
So for suborbital, the long time been there working on pushing their technology forward company is of course Virgin Galactic. We have Virgin Airlines, Virgin American, and Virgin Galactic. It's a multi-tiered system to get you anywhere you want to go in comfort, in style, with beautiful paint jobs. And they've been taking people's money to do this since the early 2000s. So people in 2009, 2010 were actively talking about, I have bought my ticket. And we've been 3 to 5 years away from these commercial flights since 2008 or 9.
Yes. Yeah. So some people have bought their ticket to go on Virgin Galactic almost 10 years ago. They put down their money. How much does it cost? It was like, I think it's like about $250,000.
Yeah, it started as 200,000. It's now 250,000.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty penny. And one of the interesting things I saw on their website was it actually says on it, rights to refunds and other terms will be sent to your consideration when you fill out the application. So there is at least somewhere in there something having to do with the refund process. But at the end of the day, so have you ever backed something on Kickstarter that you're like, I just want this technology to exist and I'm not sure if I'm going to get this anytime soon, but take my money?
No. I have. I've no. I am. I really want the thing to exist. I'm very leery and very skeptical, and so I tend to only put my money on Kickstarters that I feel pretty confident that I'm going to get the final product.
Let me give you an example because I apparently do things you don't do, which is fine. There
Yeah,
there's a Kicks
you've got a whole pile of Kickstarters that will never arrive.
well, no, only one that's questionable, and they've sent me things along the way, and they're keeping me updated. And it was Kite. It was a program to develop and do FDA testing in Uganda because there's mosquitoes there in large numbers of mosquito patches. So these are just like happy little tiny patches that you slap on your arm. You don't have to spray yourself down. You don't have to worry that you missed that square inch on the back of your ankle that's going to get the bejesus bit out of it now. And the idea was to have a simple, effective, cost-effective mosquito repellent that it needed FDA testing. And so I think I threw $50 at the project or something like that. It was enough that when they get FDA approval, I will get myself a box of mosquito patches and I will look like I'm trying to give up cigarettes, but I won't be getting bit.
Hmm.
And I knew it knowing it may never get mosquito testing, but because I want this product to exist.
And so that is your analogy that people are paying their money, their $250,000, because they want space tourism to exist,
Yes.
but they aren't
Yes.
sure they'll ever get their money.
Yes, because like with the thing I funded, Kite, they needed FDA approval. Well, to fly commercial humans into space, departing from New Mexico, departing from Mojave, departing from the United States, you have to have the Federal Aviation Commission involved, FAA Association rather. And the FAA has not yet flight certified for tourists anything. And we don't have a commercial rocket that is human certified yet, which is what we were talking about with the inflatables last week.
Right. And so right now, even like there is no way for Americans to fly on American rockets to get into space that, well, for anyone to fly on American rockets, that there's SpaceX, there's a bunch of people working towards being able to provide human rated missions. But right now, the only game in town is the Russians. So, we talked about sort of the different companies that are intending to offer it right now. If all goes well, I mean, the title of this episode is "When Can I Buy a Ticket to Space?" When can I buy a ticket to space?
So you can right
I can
now.
buy right now. I can give them my money. Yeah.
Yes, you can give your money right now to Virgin Galactic for the potential for a suborbital flight on their happy little glider, which is a super pretty little one. Completely new technology. I kind of actually feel this will be the last one to actually get certified. This is me stating an opinion. I'm hoping I'll be wrong. Uh, the new mission in town is actually XCore is looking to have people go up on a capsule that really looks like it's the ultimate place to do LAN gaming parties. That's my best description of their capsule. And this is again new technology, but XCore has something going for it that Virgin Galactic doesn't, and that's that it's part of various Space Act agreements that are getting it developing and space certifying rockets in coordination with NASA. So there's a potential to go buy things there. And I found references to being able to buy things on some of the other companies' sites. So I'm here having mixed emotions because XCore is the one I just mentioned, and in theory I should be able to go reserve a flight for 95,000, but I couldn't actually find a web page to let me do that. So I'm not sure if with their Space Act agreements, this fairly straightforward looking project isn't actually going to take tourists. So that's kind of frustrating.
Well, I'd say the newest game in town is what's being offered from Blue Origin. They've got their new Shepard rocket, which we've seen now. The same rocket has lifted off and landed. I think we're at 5 times now.
Hmm.
And the plan is by 2018, so a year from now, they're going to put a capsule on the top that humans are going to be able to go in, and they're going to do a suborbital launch. They're going to go up, cross the space line, and come back down.
And these are all hyper exciting missions, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. One of the stories that has me most fascinated is I saw articles several weeks ago that there was the idea of, on that first commercial capsule to go around the moon, to have that capsule filled with human beings on its first trip around the moon.
Yes.
And so you covered that one for Universe Today, and I'm going to let you
Oh,
blather
sure.
on this
Yeah.
one. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's-
So this was announced a couple of months ago, and this was the idea, that SpaceX announced that they were going to send a crew of 3 people on a translunar orbit. So it would go out around the moon and come back. And the calculations that I saw was that it was about $150 million for that, and that they were going to have 3 paying customers do this trip, and that was sort of like the length of time of, say, the Apollo 8 mission. So you're looking at a week in space, going out around the moon, coming back, and them being paying customers. And the purpose of that is to test the capability of the Dragon capsule's ability to keep human beings alive. So to just sort of show that the Dragon is ready for not only delivering human astronauts up to the International Space Station, but to actually go out into deep space and return. So it's like you've got these ranges. You've got these suborbital flights, you can pay a couple $100,000. You've got the orbital flights that go up to the International Space Station, and you're paying in the tens of millions. And then this moonshot that will be in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
And this is where it starts to really be fascinating to see what space travel agencies like Space Adventures are listing as potential options, because you start to see stuff like spacewalk is something that they advertise. Space training is something they advertise. And for the most part, all of these things have the happy little call us to get the pricing, because there currently isn't anything certified to do this. And all of the ads have the little caveat of exact pricing will depend on mission and rocket that's available, because we're still in the getting something certified stage, which is the frustration. So we're still at it's Kickstarter, and you don't know if you're going to get what you paid for.
Kickstarter for really rich people.
But there are certain things that you can get, and you can schedule the date, and you can experience zero G for yourself. So there are ways to play.
Where can I experience zero gravity today?
So today, what's today's date? New York City on May 27th, they have a flight flying. Tickets are only $4,950 plus 5% tax. They have flights on Space Adventures on their 747, where you can do 15 parabolic, up, down, don't die, zero G research flights. And it's kind of awesome and kind of pukey, so be prepared. And they even offer like adventure travel. So they have on August 4th, they have a flight that you can take out of Las Vegas to fly with William Shatner. That one's $9,950 plus 5% tax. And so here they are, they fly their planes out of a whole bunch of different places. And it's really their way of giving you a taste, giving you a tiny bit of experience, and they put you through educational programs. They're 727. They say that you get about 30 seconds of zero G at a go. So you're in this emptied out. If you've ever flown on one of the 3-2 planes, I'm pretty sure this is the seating arrangement that gets used in the 727s. So it's a pretty good sized aircraft, and you get to fly. And there's going to be other people on board who might be doing science. They have educational opportunities. They have science opportunities. And they have spacesuits that you can keep that are just the jumpsuit ones.
Right.
It's not like you're protected from vacuum. But hey, who doesn't want to have a space jumpsuit?
Right. And I think, one of the things that I guess you'll probably learn pretty quickly is that being in space is falling.
Yes.
Right. And so, when you're on an elevator and the elevator goes down really quickly and you feel kind of sick for a second there,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling, but it just goes on and on and on and on. And you're like, or a roller coaster, right? And so when you go on those parabolic flights, you are, the airplane is falling essentially at the same speed as you are falling. I mean, on the way up, you've got some momentum, and then on the way down, and the airplane just sort of is a bottle of air surrounding you as you follow this parabolic curve. And for future orbital flights, suborbital flights, they go up and then they fall and then you're weightless. It's kind of a trick when you think about it. You're not actually, you are in space in that you're at the altitude of space, and the microgravity you're feeling is that your spacecraft is falling back to Earth.
Well, and the thing is about the International Space Station, it's just falling too. It's just falling on an orbit that doesn't hit the Earth, which is really what we want.
Yeah, you're falling at the ground and you're missing.
Yes.
Which is
so it's one of those awesome things where this is a way to experience zero gravity, find out just how sensitive to pukiness you are. And this is actually something that before anyone ever considers dishing out, whether it be 92, 95,000, 250,000, whatever the price tag is, try one of these first. Because I know we had great plans with Astronomy Cast where we really wanted to go to Hawaii and see Mauna Kea and all of the telescopes and everything. And I learned I'm horrifically allergic to sulfur when it's in the air. And so this is not a trip that Fraser and I should do. This is a trip Fraser should do with other humans. And you don't want to waste all sorts of money on a grand vacation only to spend the entire time wanting to die.
Right. So I actually had a chance to talk with the folks from Blue Origin about, I was down in Seattle for Twitch. We actually got to hang out briefly. And I got a chance to talk to the folks at Blue Origin who were on a panel with me about their mission. And I, of all of the ones that are happening right now in the works, be it, Virgin Galactic, it feels to me like Blue Origin is going to be one that's going to be first out of the gate. Their rocket works, it lands, they've built the crew compartment, they've shown kind of demos of what it's going to look like. And just to give you sort of a sense of what's going to happen, it's going to take about 11 minutes from launch to landing. You're going to have a few minutes, a minute of oh right, sorry. So the whole thing takes 40 to 41 minutes. And the actual, let's see, how long do you have? A little, I'm trying to think, some seconds. There you go. 4 minutes. 4 minutes of weightlessness. You have 4 minutes of weightlessness as part of that flight. And
in 30-second chunks.
No. With the New Shepard, it's one flight.
Yes.
Yeah, it just blasts off. So the way it works is it goes up to 100 kilometers. You get your astronaut wings, and then it just falls back down, and you've got the time that it falls until the time that it kicks on the thrusters and goes to a powered landing. And you as the cargo will then have 4 minutes. You'll unclip from your chair, and then everybody's going to be floating around in the cabin of this capsule looking out the window. And so they've actually written rules for how to not get in each other's way, how to be a good suborbital passenger on a, in zero gravity. And one of the things that we really wanted to know was, like, what about the vomit, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, are you going to be like, blowing chunks in the middle of this capsule? And the thing is that they are going to make the capsule not, because it's this one thing and it's this 4 minutes of weightlessness, that's not long enough for you to really get sick. That while the vomit comet, it's doing 15 of those parabolic things, after you've gone through 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 cycles, you just get sicker and sicker. Like when you go to the amusement park all day and the kids just are enjoying the ride and you're like, oh God, I can't do it anymore. But they don't think it's gonna happen. In fact, there's no bathroom facilities on this thing. You get in, you go to space, you come back down.
So, the lack of bathroom facilities is actually one of the things that super disturbs me, because we all have those people in our lives that are the small bladder people, and we often love them and want to kill them because they're the ones that are like, nope, have to get off the subway on this long cross city go to go find a public restroom.
Stop the car.
Now, this implies that we're probably going to have folks in diapers.
Right.
I'm thinking we're probably going to need to have the night before surgery protocols on not eating and things like that. And so there's the biology of this still needs to be worked out. And there was a story on the news the other day that, as someone who flies all the time, just kind of struck me as, well, all the expletives. There was a woman flying who the plane was undergoing severe turbulence. And of course, this was after they'd loaded her up with soda, and she had to pee. And the stewardess was like, you are not standing up, and gave this woman a plastic cup and made her pee in her seat.
Oh.
And so this is not good. And how do you deal with this when you're strapped in for takeoff? And so the way you have to deal with it is diapers. And
yeah,
that is a no-go for me at the moment. That needs solved.
You want to be able to have a little bathroom in the cockpit that you can go to while you're on your way up, experiencing multiple G's of flight, or perhaps when you're falling, when you're in weightlessness. All right.
Yes, I do not want to sit in my own wet.
All right. Well, then that'll be the question. So, place your bets. Place your bets. When do you think that first suborbital tourist flight will take off? When can I spend a couple $100,000 and fly to space and enjoy weightlessness?
I think it will be 3 years after the first astronaut-filled commercial space launch. So whenever Dragon, X-Core, Blue Origins gets allowed to launch astronauts and everything goes fine and we get the space certification for humans,
yep.
3 years from that date. So personally, don't buy anything.
So that's the takeaway.
That
don't buy anything. Don't put your money down until NASA astronauts have flown to space on some of the space hardware that's out there. Because, I mean, is that just because of the legalities of the regulations of those kinds of concerns?
They're going to have to come up with entirely new procedures at a certain level, and the FAA has been thinking about this, especially as they've been allowing various different spaceports to begin and have advanced construction all over the United States. But how do you handle TSA and things like that? There's going to be so many new crazy things. There's going to be international tourists who want to go up on these flights. And so what is the security procedure? What is the vetting procedure? What is the background checks? Homeland Security is inevitably going to be involved. So unless one of these companies starts launching out of French Guiana, I'm thinking it's at least 3 years.
All right. And I think that somebody's going to fly suborbital on a Blue Origin New Shepard before the end of 2018. So next year. I think we're 18 months away.
I hope you're right. I want to be wrong. I really want to
Right.
be wrong.
We've placed our bets. Let's see what happens. Thanks, Pamela.
Okay. My pleasure.
All right.
And now we save.
This is 451. I've got a snoring dog over there, and I've got dueling chainsaws outside.
I have a not snoring Fluff beside me. He thinks he's a dog, but he's imitating the rug currently.
It's a good dog.
I have very few complaints about my dog, except when he decides to stand on top of me to protect me from the neighborhood owl.
It's fine. It's not. You don't have to worry, Carla. She came out to see if she could deal with the snoring dog problem, but it's fine. It's very subtle compared to the dueling chainsaws. It's nothing.
I'm not picking it up. Well, I'm listening to you on a different mic, I think. Yeah. So.
Well, having this more directional microphone is a lot better for me.
It also matches your shirt perfectly.
It's camouflage. Okay, everybody. So hurry up and start putting your questions in, either into the YouTube chat or into the down here, the WSH crew chat, and we will get at your questions after I've started to upload my video, my audio.
Yeah.
There. That'll keep Chad happy. We forgot to say hello to Chad.
We did. I was distracted. Hello, Chad. You're not listening to this, though.
Well, no, he wouldn't even be listening to this. Susie might be pulling the audio for the full feed version. Remember that if you are watching this live on YouTube, I mean, we appreciate it, but if
there's actually a much better version out there.
So there's two. There is the podcast, so you can just, of course, join the tens of thousands of people who listen to our podcast, and there is the full feed, which is the full version, and both are available as a podcast. Because me personally, I couldn't show up live to watch this kind of thing. So we appreciate that you do, but we understand if you're too busy to join us live, that this is all available to have on your phone so you can just walk in the forest and listen to our dulcet tones.
That include birds today.
Included birds, yeah. Right. All right, questions, or we just shut this down.
He's threatening you.
I will.
You're the school marm today.
Larry Beckham says, rocket travel is no good because the bathroom will not work half the time, and the other half the time you can't there. So someone said that. I wonder who said that. Guido Bieber says, remember what Alan Shepard did in his flight suit? The problem is as old as spaceflight itself. I'd like to see place your bets, folks watching. Why? Okay, so Duck Sandwich is asking, why don't spaceships in real life look cool?
Have you seen the inside of? I need to find. I got the most amazing picture sent to me by a friend who does photography for space and follows other space photography people the other day, and the inside of, I forget which SpaceX this was, just looks like a pure white mosaic out of any amazing temple. Mm-hmm. Just the geodesic features.
Yep. And these cool panels that are like configurable and simple. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. The new ones are gorgeous.
So Arjone asks, what about the Earth's Van Allen belts being bolstered by our radio transmissions? Could that be used to protect astronauts during interplanetary missions? Would it prevent another Carrington event on Earth? You have no idea what that's talking about.
No.
So astronomers with NASA have been studying the radiation belts around Earth.
Yes.
And they have found that the radio transmissions from Earth are pushing back the Van Allen belts. and that there might be some kind of mechanism, some way that we could use those radio frequencies to actually protect astronauts and to potentially even protect Earth from more killer. So it turns out all we got to do is broadcast more television and save ourselves from a solar flare that will destroy our television.
If I screen share, can you cope, or would it be better if I sent you a link?
A link is best, yeah.
Okay, so I'm dropping the link into the chat. This is a photo that was forwarded to me of the inside of the Dragon 2, and I just want to like color it with colored pencils because it's pretty.
Pull it up here. All right.
I'm not generally a coloring book kind of person, but this just looks like it wants to be the inside of a temple.
That's the roof. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
So a lot of ads, Imgur. Can I
Yeah,
zoom up?
they're kind of bad that way.
There you go. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Looks almost well, I mean, I guess you really look at it, you can see, as you said, the geodesic stuff. You can really see all of these structures designed to reduce weight but provide structural integrity. That's really neat.
So the commercial space companies are really taking time to think about ergonomics, to think about structural integrity, using newer, lighter methods. It's design. It's not just building something.
Yeah.
It's design.
Yeah. But I mean, why don't spaceships look cool?
This is the problem of Apple versus HP. A HP, you can drop out of a 5th story window and that sucker will probably still boot up just fine. But it's ugly.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
whereas more in the past, but John Ivy's work designing things for Apple, the iMacs are just beautiful computers. Sony Vaios were beautiful computers. And there's an intersection between the beauty you get from these companies that really put emphasis on design and the spacecraft's need for it to have HP's durability of being dropped out of Windows. And companies like SpaceX are really finding that beautiful intermediate place where it doesn't look like someone just put in our chat, like a garage that went through a cyclone.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that what is important for being in space is lightweight to be able to even get that mass up into space. There's no real requirement that they look good.
No, and in fact, it does add to cost.
Yeah.
This is why the Sony Vaio that I had before OS X was a thing was extraordinarily expensive for what it was able to do. But I wanted something that was tiny, that had a docking, and I paid for the looks. NASA can't afford to pay for looks.
The space shuttle is a great example, right? The main shuttle tank is actually, was orange, but the first couple of flights they painted them white, and it turns out that just painting that white added so much weight to the tank that they would then have to carry more fuel, and so again they just don't put any. They decided just to stop painting it because that just saved them in fuel. So that is the level of difficulty that they're doing. Well, let's see. There's another question here that we're supposed to do, but I don't see where it went to. A bunch of people are saying, answer Patrick Sullivan. Oh, here we go. From Patrick Sullivan, are there any laws of nature that limit the size of intelligent life in the universe? Could there be microscopic alien race populating the universe right under our noses?
So For life as we know it, the limitation is on neural computing capacity. So the smallest bacterium won't be able to have all of the multi-threaded, higher complex things that a human brain does. Now, at the same time, we know that brain size and intellect may not necessarily be linked. The reason I say may is because of linguistic differences. Elephants have bigger brains. Whales, we don't know their intelligent level. We know that they have a language, we know that they have a culture, but they don't have graduate school, but they're whales and they lack thumbs. So there's a lower limit that comes down to how much information can you cram in there. Now, on the other side, you start to worry about the distances that information has to travel from one side to another. Animals like octopi have multiple different ganglia that do computations on their outer limbs because it takes time for the signals to travel. So there's probably an upper limit on coordinated communications across a large processing system such as a single brain like we have in our head. What is unknown is, can you have an intelligent octopus that is able to do parallel processing on all of those different ganglia that are spaced out across all of its different legs? And can you thus start to end up with different forms of intelligence by having a massive creature that is essentially parallel processing?
Yeah. There's a good example of the when you think about computers, right? And you think about like what is, in the future, imagine you have like super intelligent artificial intelligent computers, and they're going to be turning the universe into Comptronium, right? Computronum, intelligent matter. And then you think like the speed of light is the issue that they have to deal with. How big of a computer could you run where the speed of light starts to be a problem, that these gigantic computer brains, and you don't get much bigger than, size of say Jupiter, where the speed to go from one side of it to the other is starting to take tenths of a second. Like, it's a big problem, right?
Heck, just talking to someone in Kuwait using a satellite phone has that
Yes.
problem.
Yeah, and you can hear that, and so you can imagine that's the downside. People always say that, you use that, life as we know it, right? That we don't know what life as we don't know it can be. All we understand is life made of some kind, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, uses water as a solvent, uses some kind of energy source, be it chemical fuel or light from the sun. That's all we can really sort of make our assumptions based on it. What's possible with life as we don't understand it. That's why it's life as we don't understand it. We don't know what's possible.
Even intelligence as we don't understand it. There are people who are arguing that ant colonies are a single life form because of the uncanny way that they have to act as one. And it's all focused on the queen. And I'm not sure I get behind the idea of it's all one creature, but this idea of distributed life. There's a book by Wilson, I forget the first name, that I believe is called Anthill, that it's actually a really interesting look at the culture of ant colonies. And we're still understanding life on our own planet.
It's kind of mind-bending to think about the fact that you are a collection of cells, right? That you are not one entity. You are the sum, the emergent properties of billions and billions of microscopic cells, each of which has no concept of what it is. And you are more bacteria than you are human being, right? And yet, in terms of number of cells, and yet here we are experiencing the world and being, which is kind of fascinating. So we don't know.
It's cool to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we think more about what the universe could be, what kinds of situations, environments are possible, we have more and more ideas of what kinds of exotic life forms could be out there. Hey, do we have a plan for next week's show yet?
Yes,
Do you remember
I
what it
told
was?
it to Susie.
Did you? Okay, maybe Susie knows. I was thinking we should
It
do deep time, which would be fun.
so what I was looking at is, since we're ending out our 10th season, basically doing some retrospectives on what are the coolest things that we've seen get discovered in the past 10 years. And
Mm.
I just don't remember what were the, I had 3 ideas for the last 3 episodes of our 10th season that I passed on to
Oh,
Susie.
okay. Well, maybe Susie knows then.
I just have ideas and then put them into somebody else's brain and wipe the cache.
Yeah, totally.
My cache is
I
really clean.
I work on episodes and I don't even remember what I did 10 minutes ago, right? I wrap it up, I close the window. If you tell me, like, you just wrote an episode, what was it about? I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Duck Sandwich again is saying, anyone here excited about the New Zealand Electron rocket launch? So you hear about this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we ran a story on that, and I really had to resist making Hobbit jokes, right? Because they launched.
It is a little tiny
They
rocket.
launched a Hobbit-sized rocket. I
Yes.
should
And
have done that. I feel
Well-
bad. I'm a coward, is what it is.
very rarely, but this time you were.
Yeah.
What gets me is we're slowly building launch pads in a whole lot of really stupid places until you start thinking about communication satellites for those stupid places. Because New Zealand is pretty darn far south.
Hmm.
It's sort of like fly 14 hours and then go another 6 south. At least that's to get there from here. And when you think about it, Bacanor is really far north. And the reason that Bacanor is so far north is because so much of the Soviet Union, which was what mattered when they built it, is north.
Yeah.
And so they have to throw communication satellites not into geosynchronous orbit, but into these crazy unpronounceable polar orbits that go really slowly in when they're close to the planet at near planetary rotation velocities, and then whip out. Sorry, I said that backwards. They go really quickly when they're in close to the planet, and then they whip out and go slowly over those polar regions.
Right.
And Wellington has similar issues of just not ideally located for geosynchronous satellites.
No, it's not the best place, but the thing that's good about it is, like, for example, there's not a lot of air traffic above
yeah.
where they launch, and so they wouldn't have to cause all kinds of chaos and havoc to the launch thing. And then the other thing, as you said, is these polar launches. So you'd be launching. I mean, right now this thing can't even go orbital. It's a suborbital rocket, but the thought is that eventually they could be launching, say, pole to pole, suborbital launches, things for doing experiments, things like that. So
Yeah,
we've actually got there are plans to build one in Canada.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You also have a lot of things that are not ideally suited for geosynchronous orbits.
Fairly north, but there's one in Sweden, right? The Swedes have a launch facility, and there's the northern. Was it the Plinsk? There's a northern one in Russia as well. So let me see if I got any more questions. Nicholas B says that Wellington has horrible crosswinds, but good for sailing.
I'm just looking up at the thread as well.
Yeah, me too. So from capital H, we hear that about galaxies merging. We hear stars go largely undisturbed. Sounds ominous. Do some merge? The chance is almost 0%. How likely is it, excluding deep core? How violent? Near misses?
So there are they're not planetary. There are stellar mergers. They usually come from binary systems that decide, and we're done being binaries. We shall be one. Mutual cannibalism is also involved in these things. But for the most part, when it comes to systems colliding, it's basically like rolling BBs down a hill and trying to hit a bunch of BBs at the bottom of the hill. And if you have 100 BBs spread over a square mile on both sides, not many are going to hit, and probably zero are going to hit.
Yeah. And so you're just going to get the stars passing right past each other. None are going to collide.
The situation where you do start to see lots of interactions is when you're dealing with high density environments, such as with the cores of globular clusters, which is where you have spontaneously forming binary stars that may go on to eat one another. And then down in the cores of galaxies, where you again have high density environments that can spontaneously form binary systems. But the two stars heading straight towards each other, in order for their momentum to allow them to hit straight on, that is so improbable.
Yeah, it's weird that you thought this was ominous. I mean, it's the opposite of ominous. It's the fact that Andromeda and Milky Way are going to collide. The reality that the chances of the stars actually colliding with each other is essentially non-existent. That's got to feel like a little bit of good news.
Mm-hmm. Especially considering it's going to happen about the same time that the sun is eating the inner solar system.
Oh, yeah. The sun will have heated up. It will have destroyed all life on Earth and boiled away the oceans and made the planet completely uninhabitable within 1 billion years. I mean, we always think about the fact that the sun is going to expand as a red giant in 7.5 billion years, but life on Earth will be long gone. It's sad that we're actually, when I want to have existential sadness, the fact that we're only, say, 500 million to 1 billion years away from the planet being too hot to live.
Reasons to get off and go out there and find an asteroid to hollow out and live inside.
Do you think, I know you love this idea of living in asteroids, but the evidence really seems to be that they're a lot softer and more like piles of rubble.
Yeah. I want my happy little delusional asteroids that are solid.
There's one, right? Psyche. And in fact, if you heard, NASA's pushed up the launch date to go to Psyche by 4 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, I had no idea.
They're going to go sooner than they were originally planning.
That is cool. That is very cool. And it is spring, and we are full of sneeziness.
I know. So Quadlibet is saying that blue stragglers are merged binaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, correct. There aren't a lot of them out there, and you mostly find them in globular clusters, like you said.
Mm-hmm. You said globular.
I know. You've ruined me.
I'm not the one who ruined you. Other people ruined you. I am not responsible.
So you originally said octopi as the plural for octopus.
Yes.
I've got some news for you. There's another way to say multiple octopus.
Yes, there's multiple acceptable pronunciations.
Yeah. So you could say octopuses. And you can also say,
sounds wrong.
I know it sounds wrong, but it is perfectly correct.
See, I like to say cephalopods because that's just more fun in general.
Yeah. So, but it didn't used to be valid to say octopi, but now so many people want to say that it has become octopi as well. But the more correct way is to say octopuses.
It still sounds wrong.
I know. Just saying. So Jesus is wondering how you get into this chat down here. This is the WSH Crew. So go to wshcrew.space, and there will be plenty of information there to help you find your way into this chat, to join the Slack. And what it really is, this is one little piece of the larger Slack interface where all of the people who are members of the WSH Crew and me and Pamela are all hanging out in here and chatting about upcoming shows, and that's sort of where all the organization happens behind the scenes. So go to wshcrew.space. There, someone just provided you with a link. I think we're done.
So I'm going to do office hours for our Patreon folks in 30 minutes.
Nice.
So those of you who support our show through Patreon, patreon.com/astronomycast, you get special perks, added access, and you get to pick my brain. Not every single week, but
Get her
a
to do
lot
your
of
homework.
weeks. No, I won't do that.
All
But I will happily talk random science with you.
That sounds great.
So yeah, check it out and support the show. Help us pay Susie, help us pay Chad, help us pay our server bills, and give us the ability to go, Susie, go plan this awesome trip for us. And we'll do things like this summer's eclipse trip and more coming
Sounds
into
great.
the future.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Pamela. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you all next week.
Sounds great.